Alrighty, we should be live.
Okay, got it. Unmute me. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. As usual, this is Friday, the 10th of December. My God, we're just, 15 days away from Christmas. It's incredible. The slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We will persevere until we succeed. Ogmandino modified. So there's an event going on right now, which everybody knows about, which is the A4M, and this is what I would consider to be an amazing opportunity. Not so much just for the business part of it, which of course is nice, that's always very nice, but more important, it's for the bonding of a team. When you've got so many different people that are in your team, or that are in part of a team, not necessarily in one's own team, but that are all at the same event with the same intention, with the same aim, and with different experiences and different experience. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity to learn to bond with people, learn to understand the other people. And some of the key things that come from this is obviously the interpersonal relationships, because this is an opportunity where we're all going to be targeting the same market, but in a closed pond. Dan?
Yeah, what I find, I got in a little bit late last night, so I didn't have the experience of getting everything set up with all the other members of the team that are here today or for the weekend. But they all spent time together setting up the booth, understanding each other in a different atmosphere of teamwork. And so I think that's a very interesting thing to do. We know how we're going to operate with everybody, within the business, but you never know how things are going to gel, outside of our normal daily activities. And so for everybody to come together like that, to, as one, to set up the booth and make sure that that's working, functional for the show that starts this morning at 10:30. I think that's really important. And I think an important part of that is the teamwork and how we work together, and the understanding of how we're going to handle people coming to the booth, right? So, we had to have a conversation leading up to this meeting about, if you talk to somebody, they come to the booth and you talk to them first, and then they come, later during the show, we need to ask those folks, hey, were you here previously? Did you talk to somebody? And we need to hand them off to the people that they talked to, the person that they talked to initially, because we want this to be fair, and we want it to, work as a team, not, even though we're kind of all working under our own umbrella, we still need to figure out how to work together in certain situations. And so, that was part of leading up to this. And one of the things that I want to, or people that I want to give kudos to, is Dr. Stephen Moore. He did a tremendous amount of work to get this set up. Kind of goes unnoticed by a lot of people. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, and we just kind of show up and everything's here and ready to go. And all we have to do is set the booth up. But, there is a tremendous amount of work. He's done a tremendous amount of work in a bunch of different levels that we'll talk a little bit about today. So just wanted to throw out a thank you to him.
Absolutely. We're just discussing the importance of the work that Steve has done. And honestly, I feel exactly the same way. He's proved to be the leader that he's attained. He's proved to be the leader of the position he's attained by being a team elite. Because being a team elite is not just about making a bunch of money and getting to the top. It's about how you get there. And now that he's there and he's able to focus on his team, he's actually flourishing as a really good leader. Yesterday, there were so many things that we all had to coordinate with our computers, with our software, that he's initiated a whole program to get our CRM coordinated so that all our lead captures are synced to ourselves. If whoever's got the lead, whoever's captured the lead, goes to the person who's actually done it, and it comes through a common CRM. So that takes a lot of work and a lot of technical, or I guess technical skills. So the good thing, excellent thing that also came about this, or that has come, or is coming about this, is the camaraderie and the team spirit of being able to help one another. I'm the first one to confess that even though I may shine in some areas, I have some real lagoons in others. And the lagoons for me are the technology and all this new stuff that comes out. I even had to find a new iPad. They didn't have it in Pembroke Pines, where I had the new iPad with cellular power, I guess. So I had to go and look for one, and they had one in Las Vegas. And it's the first one they've had in 2.5 months, and it arrived that morning. So things are supposed to happen. But now how the hell do you operate this thing? I don't even know. So, everybody was pitching in to help everybody else with to coordinate and sync their techniques, their technologies, their information. And it's actually a beautiful thing to see a team really forming, because there's a large team. It's the biggest team that I've ever had. It's the biggest team Steve's ever had. I think between Steve's, I've got, there's 7-8 people that I've got, and the total from Steve's group is 19. So 11. He's got 11 people there, and I've got 9. So it's all part of Steve's team. But what I'm saying is that it's really exciting to see how you meet people for the first time. I mean, we've seen people on Zoom, but it's only now when we can actually sit down and have dinner or have lunch or have a sandwich or something. I say sandwich, my wife says sandwich. Okay. But it's actually where we can get together and bond a bit. So, the excitement is where we can all learn to row the boat, the little crew of the rowing boat, with the same intensity, with the same force, with the same direction, so that we don't go around in circles. And the experience, I think the learning experience for everybody is fantastic. And each time everybody learns something new, even though personally I've done these, and Dan has too, many times, even at the A4M, I've done it for many years. Just the learning of the people. It's all about people. It's all about mindset, how we see things, how we feel about it, how we approach our problems, and the problems we had, for example, on technology. Everybody who's anyway savvy steps in to help. So it's really good experience, and it's a fun experience, and it's fishing in fertile water. This is the real deal now. We've got 2,000 or 3,000 doctors at this event, and they're all in here in the next 2 or 3 days. It's like fishing in a breeding pond. So it's a very exciting time.
It's exciting, but for some people that may not have done an event like this before, it can be quite daunting. And so, part of leadership is explaining to them how this is going to work, explaining to them what they need to do to get people into the booth. People aren't always going to just walk into the booth and ask to be scanned. We need to physically ask people to come over and be scanned, ask them if they know their number, and explain to them what that means. And then we need to capture all of their information so that we have a way to get in touch with them after the meeting. We don't want to spend a lot of time talking about the science, the technology, the innovation, everything that Nu Skin Pharmanex has. We just want to basically get them scanned, capture their information. Now, if it's a hot lead, I may spend some extra time with them. If they're really, really interested and say that they want to put this in their practice, then I'll obviously spend more time with them answering their questions. But for the most part, we just want to, get people in and get people out, get their information, assess how interested they are, and leading by example at the booth for people who haven't been in an event like this before. And then it comes down to teamwork as well. We're going to have people of all different levels at the booth. We've got people that have been in the business for 6 weeks, and we got people that have been in the business for 13 years, right? So, we need to rely on those people that have been in the business a lot longer, that have a lot more knowledge level, and allow them to help the folks that haven't been in the business that long, and kind of nurture them along the way for their first event. And then, what that does is that gives them the confidence to go out and do some events on their own. All of us, we live in different states. We all have state-specific optometry, dental, internal medicine, all these different specialties. So this is about teaching as much as it is about doing, right? We're teaching the folks here that haven't maybe had the sales background that some of us have had, showing them how to do this effectively, how to set up the booth, how to manage the rush of people that you get in a 2-hour window when they open up the exhibit hall, so that they can then do these on their own or on a smaller level. We're going to have 24 scanners here today, so this is a big event. And other events that you're going to do at a state level or a regional level are going to be 1 or 2 scanners is all you're going to need. So it's about camaraderie, it's about teamwork, it's about helping those that need help, that don't have the experience that maybe we have. But we need to do those things with honesty, integrity, accountability, all of those things that we talk about. We talk about those a lot on our team call, those 3 characteristics, and those are the type of people that we want on our team that have those characteristics. And so we need to do that on this level as well, with the 24 people that we have. And I think there's going to be people here from a completely different team. So we need to learn how to work with them as well. So it's going to be a great experience. And, camaraderie is a big part of this, getting to know people that we've only seen on Zoom calls. And, last night I got in at 7:00. I didn't get to my hotel till 9, which is 12 Eastern, 3 hours past my bedtime. And everybody was out for dinner, and I just wanted to go back to my room and put my head on the pillow, but knowing that there was a group of people there that we could connect on a higher level. And I made the walk over, and we had a great dinner. Dr. Lozano was there, and then Dr. Fox showed up, and we introduced the 2 of them, and we had a great conversation, and it was well worth missing a few hours of sleep to further create that relationship and stamp that relationship and be able to connect 2 physicians.
And one was from Costa Rica, and the other one was from Bermuda. And he also has a practice in Maine. And it was Mike Cook and Riley, excuse me, were there also. And yeah, eventually we got to bed at 3 o'clock our time, or 3:45 our time, which was only, I don't know, 3 hours less. However, the point what I was thinking is, what's really cool about this is that there are a lot of vendors, and a lot of these vendors, some of them are owners of their booths, but many of them are employees. And historically, I found that I've actually recruited over the years several vendors who were employed to do the show. And they may not be passionate about what they're doing. It was just a job for them. We've got a show in Las Vegas. We need somebody to go and do this. We need somebody to be there and to talk to the customers about this or that. And just watching their body language and watching their passion and watching how good they were. This was also an opportunity to recruit outside of the healthcare professionals that we were looking at, because those two are people that are could be entrepreneurs. So it's just so fertile ground. It's such a fertile ground where you can encourage whoever's with you, if you're fortunate to have people there, to enjoy the journey with you on expanding their business. I find it so exciting to be able to help people with their journey and their business, and to help them and to be able to participate in their excitement, because their excitement rubs off on our excitement. Our excitement as leaders is related to the excitement which we can create with our teams.
Yeah, absolutely. And, for me, this is more about, connecting with other people on our team than it is about connecting with physicians. Now, obviously, that's an important part of the process, but, this is how we nurture members of our team, right? We get together with them, we show them how we've been successful in the business, and, just having them follow our strategies and what we do. I was only a short period into the business when Lawrence asked me to come to the A4M conference the last time, which is about a couple of years ago. And, having him as a mentor during that, even though I had done trade shows in orthopedics for 25 years, this was still a different animal. I wasn't 100% confident on how to talk to physicians about this, how busy the booth was going to get, in conjunction with not being super knowledgeable about, this business. So it was a great opportunity to spend time with Lawrence and learn from Lawrence. So, now I'm seeing it from both sides. I'm seeing it, from being a mentee to being a mentor. So, for me, that's a lot of fun, and, helping other people be successful is there's a lot of I don't know what the word is I'm searching for, but it's just a lot of fun.
Fulfillment, satisfaction.
Fulfillment, yeah.
Satisfaction, yeah.
Sorry, it's just 3 hours before I normally wake up.
Yeah, I think also, one of the things is to learn. We talk about the I think it's 4 C's: control compliment somebody, and eventually control yourself, and so on. And when you speak to people, and this is one of those events where you're so excited, and somebody comes and you want to try and tell him everything, and literally the person wants the whole spiel in 2 minutes. And this is where we hone our skills, our communicative skills, of being able to try and be succinct, to the point, and inspire the interest of the person that comes. And it's not that easy to do, because everybody's at a different speed. One of the, from the different personalities, one of them is a scientist and he wants to know about the products. The other one wants to know about how he's going to put it into his practice. The other one wants to know how much money he's going to make. The other one's going to want to know who's going to do this. But they've all got their different, let's say, priorities. And we're sitting there with sort of theoretically an encyclopedia of information. And we've got to identify and determine in that few seconds, where is this guy? Where is this person going? Where does he or she want to be? What can we do to inform them? And meanwhile, there are 3 or 4 other people waiting to come and get scanned as well. So it kind of is exciting and frustrating at the same time, because it's like, having 4 dates at the same time, going out and what you're going to do. I mean, you got 4 dates, and you've only got 1 dinner or whatever to do. So, it's a learning curve on how to on communication as well. Communication would be, I think, key on that as a subject.
Yeah, you really have to, at these events, you really have to be like a chameleon.
Yeah.
You have to, change your colors depending on who you're talking to.
Mhm.
And learning that can be difficult for somebody who's, feeling overwhelmed. And, it can be exhausting as well, because you're constantly, switching from topic to topic, depending on who you're actually talking to at the time. And, that not only is that difficult, but it's also very stressful. And so, helping people temper their attitude, temper their talk track to fit that particular physician or scientist or whoever it may be. It's we can bring a lot to the table by teaching them how to do that. It's not as easy as it sounds. And there's situations where we can utilize our team. We talk about this too. We all have strengths, we all have weaknesses, and hopefully we're going to be surrounded by good people here at this meeting, and we'll be able to use everybody's strengths to make this a success and place as many scanners as we can and get as many leads as we can.
Yeah, in fact, when you mention that, sometime we've got 3 or 4 people that are kind of lining up to get scanned, and there may be for everybody. That's not just for everybody. Everybody's got, and one has 2 or 3 people lined up, and the person that is in front of you is kind of slouching around. He's got all the time in the world, and he's only there because he's because he's there for the CMEs, and he's not really interested. Meanwhile, the guy behind him, you can see, is really interested in what you're saying. So you got to try and get rid of the guy in front of you who's just hanging out. He's really got nothing else to do, and get to the guy whose eyes you can see are shining and saying, "Whoa, that's interesting." And so these are people skills, and this is where always it's about mindset. How you're going to do stuff, how you're going to manage people skills, how you're going to sift, how you're going to politely tell this guy to go and get himself a drink or something, go and get a coffee.
Yeah, it's sifting and sorting. It's just a different sifting and sorting. We're sifting and sorting live. We're trying to determine based on their body language, their excitement, all of these different facets that we can use to judge how interested they are. And then, like Lauren said, the people that aren't that interested, you want to try and kind of push them to do something else. So that in and of itself is a skill to do that, so that you're not irritating people and making them feel unwelcome, because maybe at that moment they're not interested, but they you could grab them 2 days later, and maybe for whatever reason they have a higher interest level. So one of the docs, that Dr. Fox, that joined us for dinner last night, he did a workshop yesterday, and it was all about oxidative stress. And so you never know what they're going to be talking about at these meetings that's going to spark that interest in somebody who's going to be walking by the booth, and you say, "Hey, would you like to get your antioxidant levels measured?" And, what are you talking about? How do you do that? So you have to find that hook to bring them to the booth, but then you have to quickly capture their information, scan them, and judge their interest level as to how much time you're going to spend with them. Dr. Joe put a note in here. It's like speed dating for business relationships, and that's exactly what it is. And I hope he's not texting and cycling. I've done that, and I've gotten hurt.
Yeah. So you're right. And the big thing about this is, even though we're exposed to a lot of people, the big secret of this is the follow-up, because that's where my Achilles heel has been. You get a smorgasbord, you're going to a buffet, you there's so much on there, and what you really take home is or what comes to port, as they say, or what the ship that comes in is the one that you follow up with. And this is hugely important, to be able to follow up immediately with thanks for coming, thanks for it was nice meeting you, and here's some information. And then, over the course of the next couple of weeks or even months or even years, you can still, have that person to work with you.
You need to nurture those relationships. I mean,
Yeah.
Dr. Fox, who joined us for dinner last night, perfect example. I met him at A4M 2 years ago. Still doesn't have his scanner, but he's going to get it this weekend. When we talk every couple of months, hey, how you doing? So that's the power of follow-up. If you're not going to be following up with the leads that you get here, there's no sense in spending the time and the money to be here, right? That's what we're all here for. We think in our minds that we're here to place scanners, right? That's our main goal, but that happens on the spot, few and far between. That normally happens in the follow-up, and most people don't buy something from somebody, A, unless they trust them, B, unless you've had 5, 6, 7 touch points. The average salesperson gives up after the first follow-up. The first no, the first I'm not ready right now, and then they never follow up again. So if you follow up 2 times, you're twice as your chances increase by double of placing that scanner or making that sale, right? So, very important to have that follow-up. That's where the fortune is. Not only from an event like this, but just in your daily activities. If you're connecting with people on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever it may be, you need to cultivate a relationship and constantly be following up with them until they say, I'm not interested, stop contacting me.
Yeah. And actually, some Dr. Couples was saying it took 5 times for a spine surgeon to be signed up. And that is from a colleague. That's a doctor to a doctor. So sometimes this incubation period of the pregnancy to have a baby born as a new scanner baby it could take a long time. Does anybody have any comments? I see it's already 7:02.
Dr. Couples has his hand up. I see that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm off mute. Yeah, with that guy, and actually I just checked my calendar. I figured out how to do Calendly, so it's simplified my life. And like two guys that I know, 2 guys now that are both spine surgeons in Miami, competing practices, both said no, and I kept sending them emails periodically. And then just most recently, I sent them, hey, have you seen this new, this latest study on PubMed about COVID and antioxidants and everything else? And that's, I think, when they both decided to take a second look, or to actually give me a chance.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's a process, and sometimes the process can take a long time. I mean, several months, several weeks, and as Dan was saying, you just keep in touch. And here comes Dr. the person in Bermuda who 2 years. So yeah, it's about follow up, and we have the tools.
While we're on here, I got a WhatsApp message from a friend of mine in Peru, and she's really interested. She's very big into health and everything. She's a fairly large influencer in that South American. When I first talked to her, I wasn't even sure if we could, because she was worried about the Spanish part of it, because most of the people in Peru obviously speak Spanish, but I just had faith that there'd be somebody else who is more fluent in Spanish than I could to do it. And so she's going to be coming on board as well.
Well, I'll be happy to include her and you in my Spanish groups. I have people in Peru, in Chile, in Argentina, in Mexico, in Colombia, and periodically I do webinars with them in Spanish, obviously. And there are some hiccups that we have in those countries, and that some products are available sometimes, some products are available never. So it's actually very frustrating. And I just do it because I like to be able to help people if and when I can, but it's not always plain sailing. But
Yeah.
I've persevered for years.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying to be able to to have people that just to give you a quick example, do you know how much a physician, a doctor, generally speaking, in South America earns?
Say 80,000, 100,000.
Oh yeah. Try $2,000 a month, 40 grand, 24 grand a
Wow.
year.
Yeah.
Now, when you start
Wow.
looking at that, and if he's really good, he's getting $36,000 a year if he's really doing
Mhm.
well. And you think about it and how much time he needs to use or invest in the scanner to actually have the American dream, to have the
Mhm.
same playing field, the same level playing field. Excuse me. It's amazing. So that's what's an encouragement. Problem is that the supply of product, that's very, very frustrating. And it's not our company that's at fault. It's the idiosyncrasies of the FDAs, if you will, of the various countries in which we operate. So, but for me, the attraction is absolutely that. A doctor who spends 10 hours a day in his clinic is making $3,000 a year. And he can, in an hour, he could do that with one of his assistants, just putting a couple of people on product. That's huge. And
Yeah.
that's one of the attractions for me, to help the physicians in all these different countries. Anyway, I want to keep everybody on this. Anybody got anything else you'd like to add, or any other questions or anything like that? Nothing. Dan, any closing?
I'm good, Lawrence.
I was going to
I want to wish you guys a good show. You're right on point, having everything you need to follow up with them effectively. And I've been on both sides of this. I've been doctor attending for continuing education credits and trying to run by other people trying to sell me stuff. And I've been the guy behind the booth dozens and dozens of times. Put yourself in their shoes, get the information you need to do an effective follow-up, give them the information they want to see, but also create the curiosity, right? Compliment, create curiosity, control yourself, and have them commit to a follow-up appointment. Good luck, guys. Go get them.
Can I just give Joe, stay on there a second. I just want to say something about Dr. Scalia, Joe. Joe, how many miles are you doing right now, today?
I'm going to do 40.
40 miles. Okay. So Joe's got a group. He invited a group of people. We invited people to form a group, which he formed, about metabolic reset. And leading by example, everybody puts in their weight every day, puts in what they eat every day with the software that you got from Fitbit and wherever you got. And Joe leads by example. He's lost 40-something pounds. He's below 200 pounds, which was his mission. But it was also to be able to work his heart rate and so on, in a way where he can work at maximum capacity with a lower heart rate. Anyway, I just want to give Joe a kudos for being the leader that you are, Joe, and with never giving up on the people that are in your metabolic team, because it is for their benefit. This is the whole point. The leader does things for the others as well, for the others, not just for you. You lead by example, but help other people. So, Joe, kudos to you. Thank you for what you do as well.
I take your lead, Lawrence. You're always there to help other people out. And this event you're doing there is no exception. I would have loved to have been there with you guys, but I know you guys are well equipped with the leadership of Steve and the experience that he has and you have as well to make it a successful event. Thank you, sir, for letting me chime in here. I appreciate it. Good luck.
Blessings to you, man. Okay. Dan, thanks everybody for being on.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. And we'll do a follow-up next week about some results and get some of the people's experience and get somebody to talk as well about what they saw and what they did. Thanks, everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Have a good one.
Great,
Good
thanks.
luck, guys.
Your call.
Have a good show.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great.
Luck, you guys.
Thanks, guys. Thank you, Dee Dee. Thanks,
Thank-
everybody. Thanks for your input. Bye-bye.